Hey Gearfax friends, welcome back. Today we're going to get up very close to Zoom's G1xon pedal. This is a pretty in-depth pedal. It's much more than what it seems to be, so I thought it warranted a bit of a tutorial, and that's exactly what I'm going to give you. So let's take a nice close look at the screen. Okay, so this angle gives us a pretty good look at the display and most of the controls. I'll pan over to the expression pedal just over in that direction when I need to. For the moment we're starting on patch A6, Phaser Funk. This is a good patch to start with because it's got 4 of the 5 possible effects already arranged in its effects chain. The maximum is 5, but you can place them in any order. By scrolling this little dial here, you'll see each of the effects a little bit more close up, and a few other options there like Add Effect, Delete Effect, Effect Chain, Patch Settings, and then we're back to our effects chain again. This will scroll left or right through all of those. Okay, so the first thing I noticed about this patch, when I turn up the volume on the foot pedal here, it's a pretty noisy patch. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is add some noise reduction. So you go over to Add Effect, click from, or choose from Dynamic Filters and click on that. These are the 6 categories of effects you can choose from, by the way. Obviously noise reduction is in Dynamics and Filters. Then you've got Overdrive and Distortion, amp choices there, modulations and special effects, delays and reverbs, and then the pedal assign for the expression. So, dynamics and filter. Add the effect to which part of the chain? You could go first. I think generally it's best to add your noise reduction right after your drive effect. So let's just try that first off. We can change it later if we want to. So press enter and it places that effect there. Now this is the effect that is chosen by default in the dynamics section, the first compressor. So let's scroll through by pressing the up key here, or the down key, and we can look through our noise reduction, and there it is. There's noise gate there, and the ZNR, the classic Zoom noise reduction algorithm, which I've always found to be pretty good, so we'll choose that. Then it takes us straight to our settings, so we can scroll across the top, again using our wheel. You can see that little arrow moving there. This particular effect only has 1 tab. Some effects can have up to 3 tabs of settings in them. To change the setting you want, just press enter, and now our dial is controlling the value. So that's controlling our threshold there. So let's turn this expression pedal up again, and we can hear that noise coming through. And we'll see how high on a threshold we have to go before it disappears. There we go. So you can hear that vanish and give us a lower dB threshold for that noise coming through. To change other settings, we can just click left or right, or go back up out of the effect, then enter it again, and then our arrow is back at the top, scrolling through each of the individual ones. That's working fine exactly the way it is though. So let's just press home and go right back to our effect chain, scroll through, there's the compressor, the phaser, the drive part of it, FD combo, and there's our noise reduction in there doing its job really nicely. Right at the end we've got some plate reverb. Let's say we wanted to take off the compressor at the beginning. Let's go to right at the end of the effects chain there. We've got delete effect. Add effect is now gone because we've got all 5 effects in there. If we only had, say, 3 effects, then we'd be seeing the option to add an effect or delete an effect. But because all 5 are filled up, we've only got the option to delete from here because it's the only direction we can go. So let's press enter to delete. Slide along your effects chain and it just says, do you want to delete this one, that one, or compressor? Press enter. Are you sure you want to do that? Yes. And it deletes like that. Now this is a bit of a funny kink in the operating system of the G1xon. When you're deleting effects, it puts you in a special deleting mode. So you then have to exit. See this little guy running out of a door? You want to click on him. And then we're back in our normal play mode. Okay, so sound is clean, noise reduction is in place. Let's now find a better function for the expression pedal, something a bit more interesting than just controlling the volume. So, winding our little dial here, we go back off the effects chain, keep rotating until you see patch settings. Press enter there, and it gives you a little intro screen for patch settings. Press enter again. The first one is the master level of this individual patch, not the master level of the entire pedal's output. Use our left and right buttons here to scroll along. This is where we can name the patch, obviously. Just by pressing enter you can change your letters and numbers. Let's just leave it as Phaser Funk. If you keep clicking to the right, you can go right through that title, and that'll take you to pedal. And this is the important bit. So this is our current setting for the expression pedal, the input volume. If you scroll through, you'll find there are heaps of ways that you can assign this pedal. It will sequentially go through each of the effects that you've got in your chain and show you down here various parameters that you can control within that effect. So anyway, we're in the phaser here. So our first option is to control the phaser level. Next one is to control the gain of the distortion, level of the distortion, threshold for the noise reduction. I'm not sure why you'd want to change that with the expression pedal, but there you go. Add and subtract reverb, change the mix of the reverb, the color of the reverb. Look at all these options, it just goes on and on and on, right through to output volume, which is at the far end of your effects chain. So if you wanted to, for example in phaser, change the rate of the phaser, there's the rate option. So now that we've set the rate of our phaser, let's play a note. So there you go, you can hear the phaser now speeding up and slowing down according to where we have our expression pedal. So many parameters to choose from, and opens up a lot of doors for being creative with your sounds. Crossing over to the other side now, we're going to take a look at the rhythm and the looper. I won't record a loop, but it's very easy to get the general idea. Here's our pattern section. We're on Bossa Nova 1 for some reason, but anyway, I'll play you that one. Stop is on the other side. There we go. Now selector knob now controls which of the parameters we're changing, the beats per minute, and we can choose which pattern we want and the level and so forth. Press enter and you can cycle through all the different rhythms that we have. There are some really good ones. There are some very average ones and just some basic metronomes. Considering this is just a guitar pedal and not a drum machine, the patterns are really quite impressive. Let's find one that I like here. Funk rock, I believe, is a pretty good one. Yeah, so that's a pretty realistic sounding beat. There's no fills or anything like that, but it's certainly a respectable beat to play along with. Press the same button again, rhythm looper, and of course that takes us over to the looper. Very easy to operate. You just start by pressing play. The bottom left here, which you can't quite see, but the bottom left button becomes a record button. See that bar rising? That means it's recording. Obviously I'm not playing anything right now, but anyway, just hit stop and then you've got your loop recorded there and you can go ahead and play that and overdub it. So that's a very quick look at the rhythm section. Now just going back home, just one more thing I want to show you by scrolling around again. Through our effects chain, through add, through delete, you can find effects chain here. And this is where we can magnetize an effect. See our little bar magnet at the top there? And say we wanted to change the position of that noise reduction, that zoom noise reduction, press enter, carry it over, might want to put it right at the beginning of the chain, press enter to drop it again. Keep playing your guitar, just see how it sounds. You might want to experiment by putting the reverb before the drive system. Not a great effect to really demonstrate the power of that, but the effects chain is really important. It can really make massive changes to what your sound is doing. I strongly recommend with this pedal that you try putting modulations before your drive effects, particularly if it's strong distortion. The positioning of your modulation effect can make a massive difference. But really, this is where the G1xon becomes virtually a synthesizer. You can create some massive sounds that are really nothing like a guitar on this pedal. So like I said, I recommend you get in and really experiment. So really guys, those are the things that I feel are most important to know about the Zoom G1xon. Get in and try everything out, have a listen through all the effects because there are a lot of them, and have an awesome time playing this brilliant pedal. Thanks for liking, commenting or subscribing, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Gear Facts, guys.